Welcome to Essential Ingredients. I'm your host, Justine Reichman, and today we have Sarah Parlow. Thank you, Sarah, for joining us.
Hello, thank you for having me.
How are you? It's so good to see you as always.
It's so good to see you. So excited to be here.
Me too. And you know, this is always fun for me because I'm talking to a friend. How lucky am I to be on the other side of the camera chatting with a friend who I respect and is doing such innovative things, and who I get to work with when we do our table talk. I feel very, very, very lucky.
So do I. Thank you so much for having me. This is so exciting. Glasses of wine we could have.
I know, I feel like, it is that time in New York. Not here, it's a little early here. But I do have my water, and I bought these new ice cubes that are quite big, and I put flowers in them.
Ooh, fancy. I love that. Are they edible?
And it's just for myself. It's not even for guests. I'm having guests over right now. When was the last time you had a guest? Aside from Justine, who I know.
Not very often, no.
So for those of you who have not participated in Table Talk or one of those talks that Sarah and I have done, Sarah and I are friends, and not only is she a fashion stylist and launched a business called SPUNJ Sustainability, we also do a talk called Table Talk, where we talk about the intersection of food and fashion and the impact food is having on fashion and so many other industries. And so I'm excited to have Sarah share with you a little bit about her story, and then we'll get into some of the different ways food is impacting fashion and hear more about what SPUNJ Sustainability is doing and how she was inspired to build that business. So Sarah, share with us, tell everybody some of the stuff I know, but share a little bit about your story and how you went from being a fashion designer, stylist, pardon me, to building SPUNJ Sustainability.
So yeah, for the past 20 plus years, I have been working as a fashion stylist in New York City, doing photo shoots and commercials and styling people and, for events. And, with the rise of shopping online, it used to be like we'd go to a store and you would, pull things in person and you bring it home in like a shopping bag. But with the rise, with the internet and shopping online, everything, started arriving in packages, right? Like boxes, and everything is wrapped in plastic. So with every job I did, some jobs that I do, I'm shopping for like 20 or 30 people. And, unpacking all of it, everything, just like I would have mountains and mountains and bags filled with plastic that I was just basically throwing in the garbage. It was not going to be recycled. It was not going to, be repurposed. And just after years of doing that, I just started to get so disgusted by the whole I was like, I am part of the problem. I am not being part of the solution by, creating all this waste. So a friend invited me to talk to a talk. It was about how to use your money to affect climate solutions. And basically it was just saying that, all of us are, as the consumer, have a right to use our dollars in a way to make the change that we want to see. And it was just so eye-opening for me. It was really like a game changer. And I realized that, I'm already advising people and companies and brands on how to invest their dollars, what to buy, what to wear. I was like, I can be the agent for change by recommending sustainable brands.
I like that, agent for change.
Yeah. So hence SPUNJ Sustainability was born. It was really came into my mind about a little over a year ago. And I built the website, and we've been, doing tons of research, just educating myself on sustainability and all that it means. And finding brands that are not only sustainable in terms of how they treat people and the planet, but also, brands that are beautiful, right? They make beautiful things that I want to buy and that I would, feel comfortable recommending to other people. So yeah, so that's what SPUNJ is, and that's kind of my story for the past year and a half.
I love that. It's always great to hear what's inspired somebody to be able to build their next project or build their next endeavor. It's from experience, it's from passion, and it sounds like your passion was fashion, but your passion was also solving this problem.
Yes. It's basically, I realized when doing all the research how much time it really takes to figure out if a brand is sustainable. And, you know, so much we've done to talk about this greenwashing, you know, out there, and, you know, brands are saying, oh, we're sustainable, but then they don't say anything about their practices in terms of, you know, what kind of material do they use? You know, where are they manufacturing? Are they manufacturing in a safe way? Are they paying their employees properly? So it takes so much time. So I just figured, like, this is the service that I'm going to be giving to everyone, right? Like, if you could just go to a one-stop shop of places to find whatever it is that you're looking for, and know that the brands that you're buying from are safe, they're healthy, and are doing something to improve the planet, then I feel like,
Yeah, why not, right? That's like the best solution. It's mindful of the individuals. It keeps in mind the wellness of the planet. Um,
mhm.
and it's thoughtful. I mean, up until now, I don't know that we really, in our heads, I don't think we thought about the planet as people were creating packaging. I think it's only now, since we're seeing the impact of it on the environment, that people have really become more thoughtful about it. Because look at all the packaging we have. People were never talking about this 25 years ago. This wasn't a thing. Remember when, was it Al Gore made that movie, right?
Yeah,
People were like, ah, that doesn't exist.
right.
That's not a thing. Global warming, what's that?
Exactly. And now here we are, right? California and Oregon are on fire.
Yes, I know, I'm in California. You can't even see the mountains outside my house. There's so much smoke. It's so unhealthy. But I'd love to, before we get too deep into it, just for our listeners, maybe hear from you. What does sustainability mean? Because everybody's talking about it and people are claiming it, but I'm not sure that the majority of people actually know what it means. What does it mean to be sustainable to you, Sarah?
To me, I mean, what I look for in brands and how I evaluate brands when putting them on the site is are they doing something good for people? Are they doing something good for the planet? And then also for animals, right? I mean, because they're also part of our ecosystem. So it's putting people, planet, and animals on par, if not even a step above your profit. Because I mean, it's of course it's important to be profitable, but we have to start thinking about, you know, not just what we're taking, but what we're giving back.
Right.
So, you know, in terms of people, it's, you know, are you fair trade? Fair trade meaning, are you treating your employees fairly in terms of wage, healthcare, safety, empowerment? You know, like if someone in your workforce has a grievance, are they able to go to management and say something about retribution? I mean, and a lot of these things are things we might take for granted in the US or in, you know, Europe, but, you know, there's a lot of third world countries where this is really not always the case. And I have even been reading articles recently about factories in LA where people are not paid fair wages, and there, you know, there is a lot of retribution when people try to organize or, you know, express concerns about safety. So this happens really everywhere. So that's really, you know, people. And then planet is, what are the materials that you're using to make your product? And like the food industry, right? I mean, for the past 20 some years, you know, organic products have been becoming so popular and prevalent, right? I mean, and organic used to be like organic, like, oh, it's so expensive and who needs to buy it? And, you know, it's hard to find. Now it's everywhere, right? And I mean, I won't buy a carton of milk unless it's like organic, or eggs unless
I
it's
only buy organic.
right? And hopefully free range, right? It's like
Grass-fed.
Grass-fed, exactly, grass-fed beef.
Although even with grass-fed, around here, what I've learned is that, and I don't know if you know this, but if you get all grass-fed, and there's finishing grass-fed, and then there's some that eat corn and grass-fed, but eating all grass-fed, so means, from what I understand, is that when there is no green grass, they starve.
Ooh.
Right now, that does not seem humane to me. To me, I feel like supplement, and there is another word for it, for when they do supplement, when they supplement with hay or whatever these other nutrients are that they have for when there is no grass, because we don't have grass all year long. We have two seasons, as Tim likes to tell me, green and brown. You know? the rainy season and then when it's not raining. So right now I think we're in the brown season, which is why we have so many fires, right?
In the red season. It's like a new season.
Orange season. It was orange last week. Did I send you that photo? That was crazy. 9:30 in the morning, I went out, my headlights were on, and it looked like it was like 4 in the morning, like, 3 in the morning where you can kind of see it coming up. Anyway, I digress. But so I appreciate you sharing that with us about sustainability and your point of view, because even you, me, Justine, we've all had these conversations when we've had our talks about what does sustainability mean, because people throw it around. Oh, I'm sustainable. But I think to ask them those questions, the way that you illustrated it, really can make us as consumers better understand what it is we're looking to know and what we are asking, so that we can make informed choices and determine if that's something we want to support. Because after all, we are supporting it with our dollar, and our dollar is the best way to make a difference in that, as you were saying, right? So now can we talk a little bit about the intersection of food and fashion? I mean, we've done this already, but for our listeners today, I think it's a fun conversation, and it really is inspiring the future of fashion. And I'd love to just hear from you, your thoughts on it, and how you think things are changing with these new designs and designers and products.
Absolutely. I mean, I think the newest trend in sustainability in terms of fashion is going back to the source of where your material comes from and being involved in the process of growing it. And in that, like with food, it's regenerative farming, right? So it's a farming method that goes away from monocrops and GMOs and is more about small crops grown in a natural way, the way that farming used to be, 100 years ago or 75 years ago. It basically just means that there's less water waste, less chemicals, less pesticides. And it's really just a natural way of planting things, so that there's like a natural balance of, there are certain plants that you can plant. So there's like the main plant, which might be like cotton, in the fashion world. In order to get rid of the pests and insects, you can plant like a secondary crop, which acts as like a natural insecticide, where you don't have to use chemicals, but it repels the flies or the ants or the gnats or whatever it is that's attacking the primary crop, cotton. So it's just like natural ways. It's like an all natural way of doing things, which is just makes so much sense, right?
I couldn't agree more. I mean, I think it's great. I mean, to be able to create fashion, be regenerative, use natural products, it seems like, why haven't we done this before? What took us so long to get here? Are you seeing any future trends that are based on this?
I mean, I'm just hoping that more and more brands start realizing, I think more and more brands are using organic cotton, organic materials, and technology has given us ways of using, recycled fibers. So even if it's not an all natural fiber like a wool or a cotton or a silk, it's recycling polyester, which is something, that more and more brands are using, especially like in the athletic world. There's also other fabrics like tencel and modal, which where you basically take wood pulp and you mix it with chemicals and water, and then it creates it's called a semi-synthetic material. The good thing is, like, even though you're using chemicals, the chemicals are in a closed loop system, so they're not just using that chemical once and then dumping it in the groundwater. It's going to be reprocessed and reused over and over again, which is good.
Yeah, so, that's great.
Yeah, it's just like a lot more options now, which are awesome. And I'm just hoping that brands become more and more aware of them and are able to incorporate them into their lines. And I see it happening slowly, not fast enough.
But a learning curve for the brands? Do you think it's a supply chain, a cost issue?
I think it's probably all of the above. It definitely takes time to educate yourself, to find the right supplier, retooling, whatever it is that you're making. Because, if you're used to working with a straight polyester, recycled polyester, it might have a different feel, it might have a different weight. So you might have to, adjust your designs in order to accommodate that. So it's definitely a process, right? You can't just like flip a switch and have it all happen overnight for sure. But I definitely applaud the brands that are taking the time to do it, because it's definitely an investment in the long term. So it's
Yeah,
important.
I think so. What is the most interesting food inspired brand you've seen or heard about even?
Well, right now on Sponge, we have a bag brand called
Ooh,
Hyper and Sky. They
okay.
are handmade artisanal bags that are made in New York City, but they're made from a food byproduct. They're made out of a fish skin called Piraruchu. I'm probably not saying that correctly. For sure I'm not, but
Have a little show and
um,
tell for us?
not yet, but I
Okay.
will. I'm working on that.
Okay.
Um, it's coming. So yeah, so basically it's this amazing system. So Piraruchu is a fish that lives in the Amazon River. And a lot of the indigenous tribes that live along the Amazon River hunt for this fish because it's an important food source for them. So what used to happen was the fish became really overfished and their population dwindled. But the government and some NGOs stepped in and created rules and regulations and basically like fisheries to protect the Piraruchu population.
Mhm.
So the population revitalized. It jumped from like, I think it was down to 2,500 at one point, and now it's up to over 200 and some thousand.
Wow.
And now they not only have enough fish to eat and sustain themselves, but now they take the fish skins, and there's a whole market that has been created to sell the fish skins to an international market and create products out of it.
Wow.
I know, it's
Wow.
incredible. It's a really fully sustainable system, which is amazing. So it's less waste. And the Piraruchu skin is stronger than cowhide, which is amazing. And
Right.
it has this beautiful sort of like texture to it. So it looks kind of like if you amplified snake skin like 1,000 times, because it has kind of sort of this diamond pattern to it. It's really beautiful, super durable. It's
Oh, I
amazing.
can't wait to see it
Yeah.
and talk with them. For our listeners that are curious to learn more about this, we'll be having a table talk that you'll be able to catch because by the time this airs, it will have gone and come and gone. But you will be able to check it out at the NextGenChef website on the app under Table Talk. But and we'll put it in the show notes, all the details about the company as well, so everybody can check it out. I know I'm eager to go check it out, but we'll put the Sponge details on so everybody can go check out Sarah's products. But that's a great one. I remember when we had a talk, it was a while ago, when we had the people from Taylor and Thomas on, and they were talking about using the grape skins, and that was super interesting to me. I had never heard of that before.
Yeah.
Had you?
I had, well, I had come across it in my research. I mean, there's so many food byproducts now that are being turned into wearable, like leathers and materials. I mean, people use soy, people use hemp, people use grape skins, mango skins,
What are people making with mango skins? Do you
uh,
know?
or I'm sorry, not mango, pineapple.
Oh,
Pineapple leaves, that's what it is.
what were they doing with those shoes?
Anything, they turn it into leather. You can make it out like
Oh,
shoes, jackets, bags. It's amazing.
cool.
Yeah. It's called Mango Materials. It's the company that
Oh,
makes it.
mango materials, but it's the outside of a pineapple.
Yeah. And pineapple leaves. It's amazing. Grapes. I think H&M even had a line of shoes made out of grape skin waste. So they, from the wine industry, right? It's like all those grape skins they get thrown out when you make wine. They're making fabric out of it, leather, basically. It's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious to know what the impact is that as we make more changes and as the fashion industry and all these other industries make changes, the kind of impact we'll have on the planet.
I mean, anything that reduces waste, right? I mean, so much waste is created, right? And anything that can get us away from using plastic, right? Anything polyester, and that can get us into using natural biodegradable materials, especially ones that are already a waste product that are going to be thrown out that we can take and create into something usable and wearable is, I mean, a game changer. It's amazing.
Yeah, I agree. So tell us about some of the products you have on Sponge that are inspired. You heard this one. This one's inspired by food. I know they're not all inspired by food, but whether it's plants or food or something like that.
I mean, we really try to look at brands that are using all natural materials. Like we have toy companies that are making toys out of wood. We have a company that makes crayons out of all natural materials, like natural wax and like no chemical additives that are super safe for kids, and they're so beautifully designed. What else do we have? We have products for the home. We carry Public Goods, which is a brand that has all essential home products like cleaning and bath supplies, soaps, conditioners, you name it. They have so many different products, and all of their products are made using less chemicals. They're in refillable bottles, so it's again creating less waste because you can just get the refillable package and refill the bottles that you have. And even some of their bottles are made out of recycled plastic, which is amazing. Who else do we have? We have Scandic Botanica, which is a beauty line that is made by my friend Soraya, who is half Swedish. So her line is inspired by Scandinavia, which, you know, that country has a long tradition of using all natural beauty products. And she's taken all that knowledge that she's gained from her mother and her grandmother over the years and created her own line with it. She has some amazing products, tonics and face masks and lip treatments. And
so part of the process when you are deciding if they're sustainable and they fit your idea of what a good, sustainable, healthy product is trying it part of the process. You have to go and try them and wear them and eat them. Is that part of the process?
Yes, it is.
I get on that team. I'll help you. You need a whole team of independent people that can give you feedback.
I know.
I'm just thinking, you know, I'm just thinking, that's what I would want. A little bit selfish.
I mean, part of our model has been to cut down on holding inventory because it creates another level of shipping, right? So it's, you know, as a multi-brand retailer, we would have to have everything shipped to us, and then we would have to ship to the customer. So part of cutting down on like carbon emissions is just eliminating one level of shipping and just shipping directly from the brand to the customer.
Is that what you're doing?
That's what we've been doing. But that said, I think coming up soon, maybe closer to Christmas, we're gonna start doing some pop-up shops.
Oh, that's great.
Keep your eyes out for SPUNJ Sustainability pop-up shops. And so we're going to start carrying some inventory so we can, you know, have stuff to sell in the shops.
That's exciting. Okay, I love that.
Yeah.
Awesome. We'll have to talk about maybe getting some NextGenChef certified products in there.
That would be amazing.
And we're going to have gift boxes too.
Yes.
So the gift boxes with the tailored products in them, you know, some of them might be CBD infused, some of them might just be CPG products, some might be shelf stable. So that will be a fun collaboration.
Wow.
We'll have to continue that conversation.
Let's do it.
Definitely. So, you know, I love everything that you're doing, and the impact to me just sounds like it's so vast. And it can, and people really have an opportunity here to be part of that impact with their dollars, with their choices. And I think it's really important to understand that and share that with people so that they can really understand it, not just hear it from us, not just say, hey, listen, do this because it's good for the environment, but do this because you know what? Maybe the planet will survive a few more years. Maybe, you know, there'll be less waste and therefore we'll have less pollution. There's a variety of things. Are there any things that really are important to you that make these choices or that inspire the choices to be more sustainable?
I mean, one thing I feel like that we're doing is that I feel like the barrier for a lot of people to buying sustainably is that they feel like they have to sacrifice on something. They either have to sacrifice on design or convenience, or, you know, it's going to be like a subpar product. And the point is,
more expensive.
Or it's more expensive. And the point is, you really don't. You really don't have to sacrifice anything. I mean, we're trying to make it accessible and convenient. And there are so many amazing brands out there doing making incredibly beautiful products. So, you know, I feel like I'm hoping that the days of fast fashion are soon to end, you know, or hopefully slowly on their way out. And people start realizing that buying less, but things of better quality, investing in pieces that you're going to have, you know, for a lifetime, hopefully, is really the way to go. It's you know, you'll spend less money in the long term buying products that last than just keep buying new things over and over that you wind up throwing out, wind up falling apart.
It's true. You know, I would agree with that. And I've always been that way, not necessarily because I was trying to be sustainable, but because I always thought it just made sense. But then you have the thoughts of fashion and trend settings. And of course, I'm not a teenager or in my 20s anymore, right? Where every season you get a whole new wardrobe, right? You were a little girl, you went to school, you grew out of it. The fashions were different. You always had to stay up with the latest things. But as we get older, we learn about timeless pieces and you know, and having that. And I think that bringing that back and creating those and creating a fashion around that, around pieces that are not necessarily going to go to style, but that can all be chic and timeless and beautiful and yet sustainable is maybe a change in the way people are thinking, but I would want to inspire that.
I mean, it already actually is a trend in the fashion industry. A couple months ago, the creative director of Gucci posted a bunch of things on Instagram about doing exactly that, like making less collections. You know, why do we have to have 100 pieces in each collection? And they're showing, you know, 5 times a year. It used to just be you'd have spring, summer, fall, winter. Now it's like there's resort, there's pre-fall, there's, you know, I mean, you know, men's, women's, it's like there's so many different shows and collections happening. And a lot of designers are on that same train of thought, like Dries Van Noten, and I think probably like 20 other, you know, high fashion designers also wrote a letter saying that, you know, we need to have less fashion shows, less collections, fewer pieces in the collection, and just make it, you know, more sustainable. Like this, the whole industry has just been spiraling out of control for the past, I don't know how many years. And it's not sustainable for the designers either. They're all burnt out and exhausted, and you know, Instagram, everyone wants to like see something new and something fast. And, whoa, it's like, it's just gotten crazy. So it's already happening. The trend is already, you know, starting. So let's see, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out, especially now, like with Fashion Week is coming this week, you know, with the shows, it'll be interesting to see like how many pieces they're actually making. So it's an exciting time.
I think that will be exciting. I think it will also be exciting to see what kind of innovations people can create with what kinds of byproducts, whether it's from food or something else, whether it's Rothy's using, what is it, bottle caps or plastic or something, you know, or somebody else using something else, because I think that there's so many different things that up until now have just been garbage. And I hate to say that, but they're not recyclable, they're not useful a second time, but to be able to find a use for them and then turn them into some sort of fashion is thoughtful and it's inspiring, and it's a better way to think about building the future of fashion.
Absolutely. It's a whole burgeoning market.
It is, and I can't wait to see new brands that are coming out and some of the innovations that they're coming up with and what's inspired them. So do you feel like food, you know, I know that you deal with a lot of different products, but how impactful do you think food has been in the future of fashion?
I mean, I think that we're really just following in the footsteps of the food industry. Fashion is. I mean, like, you know, we were saying before, just, you know, the need to have, you know, people started having all these health problems, right? It's like high blood pressure, obesity, all these things have been plaguing, you know, our health system and people for so long. And it was only when people started looking at the food industry, you know, looking at, you know, McDonald's is really just like the food equivalent of H&M or Zara, you know what I mean? Fast food, fast fashion. It's just like cheap, synthetic, you know what I mean? It's just—
Is that one of the fads you'd like to get rid of?
It is. I mean, you know, not that I don't love to like go in there sometimes and like buy something, but you know, what I do support is that, you know, H&M and Zara do have their conscious collections and their Join Life collections. And they are, I mean, you know, I think Zara or H&M is like one of the biggest buyers of organic cotton in the world, just because of the sheer volume that they do. I mean, that said, they have a long way to go to be truly sustainable, but they are taking—
But it's an effort. It's an effort, and you got to start somewhere. And so I applaud them for that.
I applaud them for that too. And if you are going to buy something from them, just buy from those collections. You know, it's so affordable. I'd rather have it be 50% organic than 0% organic, you know, cotton, or 50%, 20% recycled rather than 0% recycled. You know?
Well, I also think the other thing is, and I think we can all be victims to this, to fashion trends, right? You're going to a party, you have a date, whatever it is, you want to wear something fun and cute. And so we go out and get a new outfit. And H&M and, oh my God, now, what was the last one you just said? Zara, sorry. You know, make it a lot more accessible and affordable for people to buy those cooler things at a lower price point.
Yeah.
So they have a place, and so I appreciate their efforts and what they're doing, because they make fashion affordable and accessible. And now they are making an effort. It's not perfect, but none of us are all perfect, right? You know, we got to pick a lane, stay in it, manage that, do that well, and then try to include more things.
Okay. But you know what? I do think also that, you know, as Americans, we have so much, right? Like, we have so many things, like an overabundance of things. I spent the weekend watching that show on Netflix that Reese Witherspoon just produced about those women who like organize the home edit.
Oh, okay.
Which shocked me was like going into these people's homes, it's overflowing with stuff, right? It's like, if I looked at my closet, I really don't need to buy anything new for the next like 10 years, you know? So maybe it's just like going into your closet. Maybe it's a dress you haven't worn in 5 years or 10 years, or it was like your grandmother's piece that you've had, you know, like a hand-me-down or whatever, or have swapping
things around, right? Like maybe wearing that jacket with a different pair of pants, even though it's part of a suit. Exactly. Just rejiggering it.
I would so be into that. And it also makes me think of a brand we're launching on Sponge tomorrow is called Refash Studios. She's going to be on our talk on Wednesday. She's this amazing lady from St. Louis, Missouri. And her whole business is taking vintage pieces and reimagining them, repurposing them into these fabulous things. Like, they're amazing. I'm going to be wearing one of her dresses. I'm going to wear one of her dresses on Wednesday.
I want a dress. How do I wear a dress? To California?
I don't know how I'm going to get it to you in California in time, but you'll die when you see it. It's so—
I'm probably not a model. I'm not a fit size either.
Oh,
just a 4.
You would fit. You would fit. It's vintage. It comes in all different sizes.
Well, good. So then you can make it happen. You just make sure it arrives in time. It's only Monday. I can't wait. I'm super excited, Sarah. We have so many fun things coming up on Table Talk, and bringing you on to Essential Ingredients as one of our founding interviews is exciting for me, because it allows us to expand the network that NextGenChef has, bring it onto this podcast, continue the conversation about all the essential ingredients that go into building brands, from soil to shelf, from soil to rack, all of it. So
soil to rack, I love it. That's our new hashtag.
Soil to rack. I think I'm gonna, what do you call it? Trademark that one. Soil to rack.
Move over, care what you wear. It's now soil to
wear. I like that. So for those of you listening, maybe Sarah, you could just tell people how people would find Sponge, just so if they want to check out the website and access some of these products, they would know how to go there. They'll be in the show notes, but just in case.
So the website is Sponge, which is named after the sea sponge, which is an important little creature in the ocean that filters out the ocean. It's, you know, basically what we do is we sift through all these products and give you what is essential and important. So it's SPUNJ.co. That's the site, sponge.co. Yeah, so please come check us out. And Justine, thank you so much for having me on here. It was such a pleasure.
Oh, and before we leave, can you just share one pandemic recipe that maybe you've inspired or created while you're home with your family?
You know, I'm not a big chef, but I have been making a lot of
You're surrounded by chefs all the time and people in food. Anything come to mind?
I've been making a lot of sushi. That's what I've been doing.
I love that. So you slice the fish. Is it sashimi or sushi?
I mean, the only thing you really have to cook is the rice, which is perfect.
Oh, so you're actually making sushi. I was going to say she's making sashimi. She slices the rice and she's done.
I could even eliminate the rice altogether.
I like that. Okay, well, thank you so much, Sarah, for joining us on Essential Ingredients. I love learning more about Sponge. I'm so excited to continue our table talks. And thank you to all our listeners for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.